talk on Halloween, I always get questions afterwards, well, what about us? What do we do as Muslims to protect our own selves from black magic, jinns and evil eye? We do know that they exist because in the Quran there is a surah called Surah Jinn, and it talks many times about jinns. It talks about good jinns as well, that they became Muslim when they heard the Quran, things like that. Also, we also know that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, somebody did do black magic on him, and 2 surahs of the Quran were revealed to help counteract that black magic. So we do know that in our religion we do believe in jinns. Most of you know by now that I am a mental health expert. I am a Muslim chaplain in a university. I've done many courses on mental health, and I do have a further specialism, got a master's in special educational, social and emotional mental health and wellbeing needs as well. So this topic is actually very well researched. I have done a talk in the past, actually, a full 2-hour talk on black magic and all the rest as well, which is on my YouTube channel, which you can all welcome to go on and have a look. This one is actually looking just at the protection side, which I thought we'll cover today, because we looked at the way pagans protect against evil in their religion, hence Halloween, but we haven't looked at Islam. So, first of all, with jinns, we know that they are invisible, and we do know that they exist, and we know that all evil basically is from shaitan and jinns. Shaitan, who we talk about, there's lots of shaitans, but the main shaitan is the one who refused to bow down to Adam, and he opposed Allah in so many different ways, and then he is the one then who influences all the other little jinns, who are the ones then who influence us. We also know that one of the beliefs of Islam is the belief in angels. This is the Imam Mufassal, and alongside angels we are required to believe in jinns as well. We also know that the belief of all good and bad is from Allah. We know that jinns are made from smokeless flame of fire, so they are very hot in nature, and they are actually they are created like human beings, and they can choose between good and bad as well. And also science also tells us that they are hot by nature because they are made out of smokeless fire. And also, modern research has showed us that they are negatively charged, okay? They are negatively charged, and they are acidic by nature. And all of these things actually have been experimented after studying body chemistry when jinns affect certain people. So that is how we know all these things. So they are acidic, they are hot, and they are negatively charged. And the first way to combat evil is to avoid some of the places where jinns can exist. And those are places like deserted places. You know, when you look at horror films and you look at haunted houses and things, they're always haunted because they're deserted for a long time. So we need to try and avoid deserted places, dirty places. We're looking at places where garbage bins, for example, you know, dump yards and things. Also, graveyards. We should only go to graveyards during daylight hours only, and always go protected. We know already some of the du'as and things that we should read when we enter a graveyard, but a graveyard can have more jinns than normal. And also the woods as well. So we know all of this stuff from hadiths. And also when it gets dark, we should try and come in at the time of Maghrib. There's a hadith that tells us when the wings of the night spread or when evening comes, keep your children in, for the devils come out at that time. Then when part of the night has passed, let them go and close the doors and mention the name of Allah, for the shaitan does not open a closed door. So we know that as well. If you look at witch stories, they're always based in the woods, aren't they? If you look at fairy tale stories, it's always the woods they talk about. You don't really talk about witches in city areas, not normally. You always talk about woods and sort of deserted areas. And then jinns live alongside human beings, even in our houses, but we can't see them. And Jabir said, the Prophet said, cover up the vessels, i.e. kitchen containers such as pots, pans, tie up the mouth of the water skins, lock up the doors and extinguish the lamps, because shaitan cannot untie the water skin or open the door or uncover the containers. If one can cover the vessel even by placing a piece of wood across it and mention Allah's name on it, let him do it. And that is a very, very strong hadith which Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us about. It's in Sahih Muslim. So don't leave any food out uncovered. Cover your vessels of water, jugs, that kind of stuff is what they're talking about. And we know that shaitans, I don't know if you remember from the black magic lecture, they eat leftover food, surplus food, bones and that kind of stuff. So when we eat, we should really say Bismillah before we eat and Alhamdulillah afterwards. We should say the words of Allah, because when shaitan hears the words of Allah, he runs away. He doesn't like Allah, okay? You know, say there's somebody who we don't like and somebody else praises that person. Don't we say, oh, we don't really want to know. We don't really want to know. Yes? So this is how shaitan is. When you praise Allah, say Allah's name, he goes, I don't want to know, stop it, and he runs away. So these are some of the reasons why we say Allah's name in so many ways in our life. So say, my Lord, I seek refuge with you from the whisperings of shaitan, and I seek refuge with you, my Lord, lest they may attend or come near me. And that's in Quran, Surah Mu'minun, okay, and that is actually straight from the Quran. So when we eat, there are certain du'as, and some of the children who attend my madrasa here at the mosque, they actually learn those du'as from a young age. And I won't go through them now because this lecture will go very long, but if you look at the Black Magic lecture, then you can listen to them there. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, shaitan is present in all you do. He's even present when you eat. When you drop a morsel, he takes it. One should clean it off and eat it and not leave it for shaitan. So try and eat all your food. When you finish, you should lick your fingers. No one knows in which part of his food the blessing lies. And that's in Muslim and in Tirmidhi. And then say Bismillah in Allah's name before eating or drinking will keep shaitan from partaking with a person in his food and drink. Does anybody know what else happens when you say Bismillah over your food? We have done this in the Health in Islam lecture.
Is it you get the benefit of the food, the barakah?
Yes,
in the food?
How? That's a brilliant answer.
You feel filled.
You feel filled, why?
It's a barakat.
Change of water.
If you don't
change
say
of
Bismillah,
That's the answer I'm looking for. Brilliant. When you recite Bismillah over it, the molecules of water in your food become whole. And that's what fills you up. Okay, that's an excellent answer. I'm going to put the video back on here for you all to watch.
Science has now revealed new secrets about water and the way water is influenced by the verses of the Quran. It has now been scientifically proven that water is affected by what is recited over it. Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto first began experimenting on water Masara Imotu said, my Muslim colleague offered to play Quranic verses over the water. He bought a tape recorder and played some Quranic verses. And we got the most perfectly shaped crystals, subhanallah. These are actual images of the crystals that were formed after the verses of the Quran were played. Dr. Imoto was also told that Muslims recite Bismillah, which means in the name of God, before drinking water. This has been practiced by Muslims since the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The word Bismillah was found to improve the quality and the structure of even regular water. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Imoto completed these experiments, which lasted 15 years. He published a 5-volume book called Messages from Water. He wrote, I have proven that water is capable of thinking, fathoming, feeling, and expressing itself.
Many videos like this as we go on, but that gives you an idea of what actually happens to your food when you recite Bismillah on it. Subhanallah, that was absolutely wonderful. Okay. Now the dirtiest places we know is where jinns are. The dirtiest places in your houses are the toilets. Okay, so this is why Prophet Muhammad told us to say a dua when we enter the toilet, to put a barrier that will prevent jinns from seeing the aura of the sons of Adam. Let any one of you say Bismillah when you enter the toilet. That's in Tirmidhi 551. And this is the dua there. In the name of Allah, I take refuge with you from all evil and evildoers. And then when you exit the toilet, again, there is another dua, I seek your forgiveness. And there it is, Ghufranaka. That's the easiest way to teach the children, isn't it? Ghufranaka. So that's on your way out. Because, like I said, jinns go in dirty places, and they are actually residing in your toilets. Also, did you know that when you change as well, there are specific du'as as well to protect yourself? There is a dua when wearing new clothes. Indeed, Shaitan and his tribe watch you from a position where you cannot see them. This is not all made up. This is actually straight from the Quran, which we know is the word of Allah. So that's in chapter 7, verse 27. And then here is another dua. Oh Allah, for you is all praise. You have clothed me with it, the garment. Ask for the good of it and the good for which it was made. And I seek refuge with you from the evil and the evil for which it was made. So we are very, very lucky we have duas to protect us from Shaitan. Okay? Even entering and exiting your houses as well. Because we do know that, yes, some do live in our houses. So here is the type of shaitans that live in your house are called awamir. And here is the entrance dua. In the name of Allah we enter, and in the name of Allah we leave, and upon our Lord we place our trust. The other one is when you come into your house, some people say Assalamu alaikum. Who are you saying that to? Do you know?
The angels.
The angels. So you're saying that as well. And then exiting your house. In the name of Allah, I place my trust in Allah, and there is no might nor power except with Allah. And that is the dua, again, which children learn at a very early age in the madrasa. And we should teach our children all of these things from an early age. You can instead read the Ayatul Kursi as well. We will talk about the Ayatul Kursi later. When is the other time where Shaitan comes and stands right next to you because he gets really angry?
You're about to read namaz.
Yes, when you're about to read Salah, well done. So when we are reading our Salah, this is why we start off by saying, A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. There's a reason. That actually tells you that Allah protect me from Shaitan. Because Shaitan will come, he will try and make you forget. He's angry that you're going to try and worship Allah. He doesn't want you to worship Allah. He's trying to drag everybody, isn't he, with him to the hellfire. So that is the Tawuz. And he gets very, very angry. The next bit I'm going to talk about is evil eye. And then we'll talk about other things. So, does anybody know how evil eye actually works? In the English saying, there is this thing about, there is a green-eyed monster in all of us. Have you heard of that one? There's a green-eyed monster in all of us. What does that mean?
Envy, jealousy.
Yeah, but what is it inside us? Is there really something inside us?
I think it's the thoughts in your head.
No, we have a green, don't we?
It's the green, good, it's the green. So when we are born, why are we crying first of all?
Shaitan pinched us.
Shaitan pinches us. The moment we enter this earth, the shaitan attacks us, he pinches us and we cry. Who was the only prophet that didn't cry?
Jesus.
Isa alayhi salam is the only prophet that didn't cry where shaitan ran away. He pinched the placenta by mistake. That's in the hadiths as well, isn't it? So narrated Abu Huraira, the Prophet said, when any human being is born, shaitan touches him at both sides of the body with his 2 fingers, except Jesus, the son of Mary, whom shaitan tried to touch but failed, for he touched the placenta cover instead. That is in the hadiths as well. And what happens is the shaitan comes and are born. The whole reason why we do the adhan and the iqama is to protect ourselves from jinns. So this is the Prophet himself, when he had grandchildren, he showed us many examples of giving the adhan and iqama in the ears of Hussein ibn Ali, and that was his grandson. That's in Tirmidhi. The adhan is said in the right ear, and the iqama is said in the left ear. Okay? Born, the whole comes, and what happens is the shaitan of us is put inside us, which is the dark side of us, the green. Okay? And that green is the bad side of us that tells us to do bad, basically, in our lives. So human-born companion, for every newborn, a human as well as a jinn, like a jinn, is assigned to that body, and that is the dark nature of us, and that is the side that then will whisper to us to do bad. Okay? But with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did he have a green?
No.
He did have a green, but what happened to that green?
Converted to Islam.
Yes,
Yeah.
good. He was made a Muslim. So likewise, we've been made for every prophet an enemy, shaitans from among mankind and jinn. This is actually in the Quran, for those who are hearing it for the first time, in Surah Al-An'am, the cattle. And the Prophet said, every one of you has been assigned a companion from the jinn. The companions asked, even you, O Messenger of Allah. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, even me, except that Allah has helped me against him and he has become a Muslim. Now he only tells me to do good. Okay, and that is in Sahih Muslim. We also, and you know that green inside us is bad. That is the green that gives the evil eye to other people. This is how we need to know how it works. Green inside us is full of negative energy. So what happens is that green is what then will give other people the evil eye, even if you mean it in a good intention. You may say, oh Aisha, I love your beautiful white scarf. But the green inside you gets jealous and say, actually, I don't like it. And then the negativeness goes on you and then you get ill. Okay? So, if somebody says something to you, we should always say, MashaAllah, or Subhanallah, or Alhamdulillah, because that will counteract the negativeness of that green, if you like. So Ibn al-Qayyum said, everyone who gives the evil eye is jealous, but not everyone who is jealous gives the evil eye. Then he said, it begins when the person likes something, then his evil soul dwells on the matter, and by continually looking at the person who has the thing of which he feels jealous, he directs his venom towards him. A person may put the evil eye on himself, or he may put the evil eye on someone else without intending to, because it is a part of his nature. This is the worst type of human being. Does anybody know how you may know you've got evil eye on you? What are the symptoms that may come out of the blue, by the way? So we're not talking about somebody who's already ill and then they get ill. We're looking at somebody who's perfectly okay and then suddenly they become ill.
Like your hair starts falling out and things like that.
Right, anything else? We've got a list here.
Anxiety.
We've got physical characters, unexplained illness. Unexplained illness. So something that's not genetic. Something that is not genetic. Okay? That's how you know. Unexplained illness such as a cold or flu that persists or is repeated, fatigue, headaches, migraines, vomiting, stomachache, palpitations, feeling of unexplained numbness, cold or heat, loss of appetite, sharp unexplained pain, rashes or unexplained skin conditions. Mental can be inability to focus, memory loss, especially for students, irrational thoughts, negative thoughts, memories, resurfacing which cannot be controlled. We're looking at out of the blue ones, by the way. We are not looking at people who are all the time forgetful or who may already have a mental condition. We're looking at people where out of the blue this has happened. Emotional fear, unrest, feeling numb, depression, negative feelings, feelings of anxiety without any reason. Feelings of anxiety without any reason is a big one. Feeling tight, usually described as about to burst. Frustration. Repeated signs of bad luck or misfortune. Many obstacles in new ventures and old problems resurfacing. So obstacles in everything that you do when you've had a really, really bad 6 months maybe. One thing after another. You may fall, you may lose your job, something else might happen, business may become bankrupt, that kind of stuff. So what I've got now is I've got 2 videos. First video explains what evil eye is, and the second video explains how we can help it through the Quran, and then I'll talk to you about other remedies as well. So here is a general video on what the evil eye is.
أسرار قلبي وجئت ألقي أسايا رباه عفوك إني للنور مدت يدايا نزعت أسرار قلبي وجئت ألقي أسايا وأشتكي طي صدري دربا سحيق العطايا به بدأت ولكن لم أدري ما منتهايا لم أدري يأسي فيه ولا عرفت هدايا ولا عرفت ظلامي ولا عرفت ضحايا ولا لغيرك دوايا رب يوم النداء إليك أنت صباحي مصفد بمسايا فاسكب ضياءك إني ظمآن ضل صدايا إليك أنت صباحي مصفد بمسايا فاسكب ضياءك إني ظمآن ضل صدايا لم أدر من أي نبع أسقي جنين الركايا والشط لا ما فيه يطفي الأضاء في حشايا رحمك يا رب إني وزورقي والخطايا وعفوك إني للنور مدت يدايا نزعت أسرار قلبي وجئت ألقي أسايا رباه عفوك إني للنور مدت يدايا نزعت أسرار قلبي.
There were only 2 things mentioned there for protection. One was the ruqya, which we will talk about in a minute, and the other one was washing yourself with the person who you think has done the evil eye on you. They do wudu and then you wash with that wudu water. But that is some stuff in detail. With the first video, they mentioned about washing with wudu water of the person who you feel may have put the evil eye on you. That is actually taken from a very strong hadith. So Abu Dawud narrated that Aisha said the person who had put the evil eye on another would be ordered to do wudu. Then the person who had been afflicted would wash himself with that water. Now that's what the Prophet had said, and there is actually a story about a sick camel. So what happened was that one of the Prophet's Sahaba's camel fainted on the spot then and there, on the floor, while they were all together. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that that camel has been afflicted by the evil eye. And he ordered one of the Sahabas that wash yourself, do wudu, and then he took that wudu water and he washed the camel with it. And the camel immediately stood up and he was absolutely fine. So that is where that story has come from, okay? And one more thing. So the next video will tell us more protection against evil eye. There were a few more there. There were surahs from the Quran. There was the Ayatul Kursi. We will talk about those in a little bit more detail in a minute. Okay, well, we have got a dua. It's actually there, okay, in Surah Al-Falaq. And from the evil of the envier when he envies. This is in Surah Al-Falaq, chapter 113, verse 5. Prophet Muhammad said, most of those who die amongst my ummah, followers, die because of the will and decree of Allah, and then because of the evil eye. So that is actually a well-known saying. This is the dua which has been given to us to counteract evil eye. O Allah, I seek refuge with your perfect words from every shaitan and from poisonous pests and from every evil, harmful, envious eye. That is the dua that we have been given to counteract evil. And now you know that you can actually put nazar, evil eye, on yourself as well. This is why there is a special dua when you look in the mirror. Because you might say, oh, I look nice today, but the green inside you may say, actually, you don't. Do you see? So this is why there's actually even a dua when you look in the mirror. She's looking in the mirror. Oh Allah, you have beautified my body, so beautify my character as well. So these are so many things which have been given to us in our religion, which can then help us to counteract all these evil things. And linked with the camel, there are other remedies actually, which Prophet Muhammad told us can protect us from evil eye and jinns as well. So earlier on I mentioned that jinns are acidic by nature. Modern research tells us that by looking at blood streams of people who've been afflicted by jinns, and also they are negatively charged. So with the acidic nature, there is something to do with camels that we can do which can counteract jinns. Does anybody know what that is? Yes.
Camel's urine.
Yes, say that again louder.
Camel's urine.
Camel's urine or camel milk.
It's concentrated with phosphorus.
It is, yes, well done, excellent. And that is a brilliant answer, because camels drink little water, their urine and milk has a high amount of positive ions from high salt content, potassium, which helps to neutralize the negative ions and electrons, particles of the jinn or evil eye. And that's in Sahih Bukhari. And that actually, people have revived the Sunnah nowadays. Did you know that in Islamic areas, you can actually buy that from the shops, the supermarkets and things, or you can buy it from the internet as well.
Yeah.
But the Arabs are really know about this already quite a lot.
Is it halal?
Yes, it is, because if the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to drink it, then we know everything he told us is good, isn't it?
So it will be one of the blood pressure lowering drug as well. I mean, if somebody drink urine, camel's urine, that will
It will
lower
help
the blood
their
pressure.
health anyway, won't it? It will help with cancer and things like that as well. Because with cancer, everybody knows, the latest research has showed that when you have alkaline things, it helps with cancer cells and things, doesn't it, as well? And basically, any name of Allah gets rid of jinns and shaitan. Any name of Allah. Narrated from Abu Musa that the Prophet Muhammad said, the likeness of a house in which Allah is remembered and the house in which Allah is not remembered is that of the living and the dead. Okay? So if we keep reciting Allah's name, a house where you read Salah and things like that, generally that protects you, because shaitan runs away when he sees or hears Allah's name. And the Quran, we know, is a healing and a mercy to those who believe. Now, I've already spoken to you about the molecules in your body and in water, because don't forget, we are also made out of approximately 80% water. So when we recite the Quran, the molecules in our body, they actually become whole as well. And when we eat the food, the water in the food becomes whole. But did you know there are other things? When you recite the Quran, it has got unique positive sound waves, which counteracts the negative energy of the shaitan. So did you know, listening to the Holy Quran for 3 hours every day enhances your immune system. It protects your heart and brain and reprograms your cells. Sound waves of the recitation of the Holy Quran activate your body cell. The adhan is actually one of those things, and cures illnesses, especially heart attack and cancer. So did you know that the previous slide where I said it tells you in the Quran that the Quran is a healing? So this is exactly how it heals. Allah says, so when the Quran is recited, then listen to it and pay attention that you may receive mercy. That is in chapter 7 of the Quran, verse 204. So very, very interesting. Now, with all this jinns and black magic and stuff, because the Quran is full of positive sound energy, evil people then take that Quran and they change it into negative energy. So all these tawizes and things that you get, which are there to, which people plant in people's houses to give evil effects, what they do is they take verses of the Quran and they make them all backwards and out of context. And what that does is that promotes negative sound energy. So hence that's why it causes an ill effect on your body. Okay, so this is how the wheezes work. And but what we need to know is that people can do what they like on you but it's up to Allah. In the end, He is the one who chooses our destiny, and that is part of the Mani Mufassal, that all good and bad is from Allah. So people can do what they like to you, plant whatever they like to you. It is only going to work if that is Allah's will. And that is what we need to remember. Nothing can change your destiny except dua to Allah. But they could not thus harm anyone except by Allah's leave. That is in the Quran chapter 2, verse 102. Okay? Now there are things like black magic. Unfortunately, these things happen in our home countries more. When somebody wants bad of somebody, they may do black magic. Some people can even get possessed by jinns. This is different to having a mental health condition that is genetic. This is different. This is when people deliberately worship jinns and get them involved and then get them to afflict people. And jinns can possess people, but they can also possess trees as well, and animals as well. We've been told all of that. And when you do get possessed by a jinn, these are some of the things that happen. There is an electrolyte imbalance. The symptoms of electrolyte imbalance, salts which are positive charges, can include twitching, weakness, seizures, and heart rhythm disturbances. Some epileptic symptoms are shown as well when somebody is possessed by jinn. And epilepsy is related to jinn possession as positive changes decrease in the system. And we already know as well from our other lectures that there are two hadiths, Al-Bukhari and Muslim, where somebody did come up to the Prophet. It was a woman, African woman, and she said, I suffer from epilepsy, and what should I do? And he said that you have been afflicted by black magic, and he told her to go and do the ruqyah. So there are two types. Again, I will make this very clear. Some epilepsy is medical. It can even be genetic. And there's imbalance in the brain that causes the seizures. I am only talking about the type of epilepsy when somebody deliberately gets jinns involved and does all these things, and that person then gets afflicted with black magic. That can also happen with schizophrenia as well. Some schizophrenia is genetically there, naturally there. There is an imbalance on the social side of your brain. So you see visions, you can hear voices. Some schizophrenia is there because of black magic. The only way to know is if it's genetically in your family, you know it is there genetically, okay? But if it's not genetically in your family and all of a sudden it happens, then there is a chance that it could be a jinn, okay? And whispering is an act of shaitan, one that aims at causing grief to the believers, yet without Allah's leave, no harm can be caused to them. Again, it depends on Allah if He wants it to happen or not. So in Allah should the believers put all their trust. And that is actually, again, in the Quran. And the symptoms are exactly the same. The symptoms of someone, for example, who has schizophrenia through genetics, and the symptoms of someone who may get schizophrenia through jinn possession, the symptoms are exactly the same. Chemical imbalance in your brain, because when the jinn enters your brain, he causes that imbalance. The negative charges, the acidity. Okay, does that make sense? But in both cases, you need to treat it both medically plus with the ruqyah as well. And in my viewpoint, it does need to be treated medically first, because if your brain is all the chemicals are all mixed up in there, then doing the ruqya can cause a little bit more upset, if you like, because all the molecules will become whole in your brain, the water molecules from the Quran, it might upset it more. So in my viewpoint, even if it is black magic, it does need to be corrected medically first, and then you can have the ruqya done afterwards. Okay? We'll cover this in questions later if anybody has got more questions. Now the ruqya, if it needs to be done, if somebody thinks they may be afflicted by a jinn, then there are a lot of spoof people out there, a lot of imams out there, I'm afraid to say, who do this as a business, and they can give so much money. It's all about money. Did you know about £70 for about 10 minutes is the going rate? And a lot of imams are not qualified in mental health. They're not. So it is very, very important that if you feel the ruqya needs to be done, to go to somebody who is qualified in mental health within the English system as well as being an imam. And believe me, there's very few out there. Okay? So do your homework. Say, my Lord, I seek refuge with you from the whisperings of shaitan, and I seek refuge with you, my Lord, lest they may attend or come near me. We know that also you are more likely to be afflicted by black magic if you do not remember Allah and that kind of stuff, because shaitan will go to the most vulnerable people, the ones who don't read Salah, who don't remember Allah's name. And we know that already. It says, and whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed life. We know that is there already in the Quran. Surely in Allah's remembrance do hearts find rest. So reading the Quran helps to get rid of jinns, because jinns, they don't like you praising Allah. Praying is very, very good for you, especially the position there. The sajda position is absolutely amazing. It's the best way to remove the negative electromagnetic charges, is by placing your forehead on the ground. Okay, so it actually neutralizes all the negative electromagnetic charges in your brain when you do sajda. And did you know that that process there is quite amazing, because all the chemicals in your brain, they actually lead to a state of homeostasis, a state of balance in your brain at that position. So the more sajdas you do is very good. And also talking to Allah. If you talk to Allah about all your problems, your worries, your anxieties, it actually offloads all those worries and problems, doesn't it? It makes your mind a bit more healthier, and that then stops the shaitan coming to attack you. So praying is very, very good. Praying is very, very good for you. Salah is an amazing exchange. You hand over your worries to Allah, and Allah hands over His blessings to you. So great, great reward of reading Salah. And then some of the other things is Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah, especially the last couple of verses, are very, very good at protecting you and your house as well. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, spend most of your life in a graveyard called home. Do not make your homes graveyards, for verily shaitan flees from the house in which Surah Baqarah is read. And that is actually in Sahih Muslim. Very, very strong hadith. Ayatul Kursi is so strong against shaitan, it's unbelievable. Does anybody know why Ayatul Kursi is so strong against fighting shaitan and evil?
It praises Allah so much.
Pardon?
It praises Allah so much.
Good. It praises Allah so much that shaitan just says, sorry, I don't want to know, I'm getting out of here. He runs away. Okay? So let's have a look at the Ayatul Kursi step by step. The first verse says, Allah, there is none worthy of worship except He, the ever living, the ever watchful. Okay? Now Shaitan doesn't like that. Shaitan wants you to worship him, doesn't he? He doesn't want you to worship Allah. So he does not like that. Neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes him. So we know, actually, from my other lectures, Shaitan's really lazy. Yeah, he sleeps all day. He wakes up at night, and that's when he influences us. So when we say that neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes Allah, is he going to like that? No, he's going to hate it. Who is there that can intercede with him except by his permission? So this is all about, nobody can even intercede with Allah except if Allah wants you to. Allah can close your heart and your mind, and you won't be able to access Allah. It's up to Him. So suddenly people become religious overnight. Why? Because Allah's opened their hearts and their minds. It's all because of Allah. Okay? And also, Shaitan does not want you to intercede with him. Who does Shaitan want you to intercede with? Him. Jinns, black magic. How does that work? You intercede with jinns, don't you? And that's what then causes, that's how you end up doing the black magic. He knows what is before them and what will be after them. So this is all pure destiny. We know that jinns try and tamper with your destiny. Okay, we know from the previous lectures that up there at the beginning of time, jinns were trying to listen into conversations which Allah was having with His angels about your destiny. And then He was coming down and whispering and trying to change things. So He doesn't want that. So He doesn't like that. And they encompass not a thing of His knowledge except for what He wills. And that is actually amazing, because in this lecture, some of you will go away and say, do you know what, that was brilliant, I understood everything. Why? Because Allah made you understand everything. He wanted you to understand everything. And some of you will go away and say, what a load of rubbish, that's an extremist woman. She doesn't know what she's talking about, it's all a load of rubbish, I don't believe in jinns. That will happen because Allah doesn't want you to, not Allah, it will happen because Allah didn't want you to believe in it. Okay? So that is what we mean by that. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth. We know Shaitan's throne is over the underworld. He can't get up there. He was thrown out of there. Is he going to like that? He's going to hate that, isn't he? Because he used to be up there before he was thrown down. He is in control of the underworld. So he's not going to like that. And their preservation tires him not. So Allah never gets tired. Shaitan gets tired. He's lazy. He's always sleeping during the day. So he doesn't like that either. And he is the most high, the most supreme. Isn't that going to be the icing on the cake for him? The end part, he's going to run a mile, don't want to know about any of this. This is why it is so powerful. But something else which a lot of people don't know is that the Ayatul Kursi is structured in such a way, such a tight-knit structure, it gets rid of jinns that way as well. And my next video will show you about the structure of Ayatul Kursi. Very interesting.
The arrangement of the Quran is one of many reasons why Muslims believe that it could only have come from God. In fact, modern research has discovered a remarkable structure in the Quran known as ring composition. To demonstrate this, let's analyze the second chapter of the Quran known as Al-Baqarah, the cow. This chapter consists of a total of 286 verses. The entire chapter can be divided into 9 groups based on theme. The first group of verses talk about faith and unbelief. This mirrors the theme of the last group of verses. The second group covers God's creation and knowledge. This again mirrors the second to the last group's theme. The third group discusses the law given to the Israelites, which mirrors the giving of law to the Muslims in the seventh group. The fourth group relates to the test of Abraham, a mirror of the test of Muslims in the sixth group. The middle group, the fifth group, is the central theme of the entire chapter, the change in direction of the Muslim prayer. Moreover, this verse even contains the word middle. We have made you believers a middle nation, so that you may bear witness to the truth before others. Together these 9 groups form a giant ring composition. As you can see, ring composition is structured as a sort of circle, with the central meaning placed at the center. You can think of it in terms of a mirror, so ring composition is the equivalent of putting a mirror in the middle. What is mentioned in the first half will be reflected in the second half. Things can be taken a step further. If we examine these 9 groups, we find that they each contain sub-ring compositions. So what we have is rings within rings. Things can be taken further still. This sub-ring contains yet another ring within itself. This is the 255th verse known as Ayat al-Kursi, the verse of the throne. Just like the chapter which contains it, the verse of the throne can be divided into 9 groups based on theme. The first and 9th parts each mention God's personal names. The 2nd and 8th parts both state that God never tires. The 3rd and 7th parts describe that God owns everything in the heavens and the earth. The 4th and 6th parts make it clear that God has total control over us and we are dependent on Him. Notice that the middle of this verse mentions before and after, which could be yet another allusion to the mirroring of ring composition. It's worth highlighting that not only does the verse of the throne contain its own ring composition, but it is also positioned as a sub-ring within 2 larger rings, a concentric ring composition. We can see that this chapter of the Quran is marvelously designed, being precisely and tightly arranged according to the principles of ring composition. This precision in arrangement is in fact astonishing when we consider the timing of the revelation of these verses.
It's actually very, very interesting. So it has a very unique structure, the Ayat al-Kursi, which also helps in promoting more positive energy, sound waves, and that is extra apart from all those attributes which helps them to get rid of shaitan. We already mentioned Surah Baqarah, but did you know that the last few verses are very, very important? It's actually in the last few verses that Ayat al-Kursi is. Allah inscribed a book 2,000 years before He created the heavens and the earth, from which the last 2 ayahs of Surah Baqarah were revealed. If they're recited for 3 nights, no shaitan will remain in the house. That's in Tirmidhi 2882. And like I said, these are the 2 verses, the last 2 verses. You can look them up yourself. They are in the last 2 verses of Surah Baqarah. And the 3 quls are very, very important. Surah Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah An-Nas. Surah Ikhlas is about the oneness of Allah, which shaitan does not like. He wants you to do shirk. He wants you to go to hellfire. So Surah Ikhlas is all about that there's only one Allah, He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is none like unto Him. That is all to do with the oneness of Allah and not doing shirk. So shaitan's not going to like that. He wants you to do shirk, doesn't he? Okay? So that's very, very important, that one. And the next 2 were actually revealed as a consequence of black magic being done on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know that somebody took a beard hair of his and hid it under a rock, and he was afflicted by black magic. He had fever, there was stuff going on with his emotions and things, and it was actually Allah who revealed 2 surahs to counteract that black magic. And as he said those surahs, the black magic got lifted off him. So this one is the first one. Say, I seek refuge with the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the true God of mankind, from the mischief of the whispering, elusive prompter who returns again and again, who whispers in the hearts of people, whether he be from the jinn or humans. Also, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to seek protection against the evil of jinn and their evil eyes, until Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas were revealed. After they were revealed, it took to them for seeking Allah's protection and left everything besides them. But there is no reason why we shouldn't do all the other bits as well as this as well. Okay? So that is Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas, Surah Nas. And then the other one, Al-Falaq, is actually very, very related to black magic, specifically for that. So say, I seek refuge with the Lord of the rising day, from the evil of all that he created, from the evil of night's darkness when it spreads around, from the evil of the woman who blow on knots, because that's how black magic was done in those days, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. And somebody tied knots in his beard hair. Your beard hair is your genetics. So whatever is done to that beard hair then happens to you. So someone tied knots in his beard, and that's why he was all over the place as well. Does that make sense? So there is Surah Al-Falaq, which I've already gone through with you. The other two things, three things actually, which Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told us about, was eating dates. And ajwa dates, did you know, eating 7 ajwa dates every morning, you will not be affected by poison or magic on that day until night. And how does that work? Did you know that ajwa dates are rich in phosphorus, which generates fluorescent radiation? Phosphorus supports the blue spectrum and generates positive energy. Remember what I said, that jinns are negative energy. Blue aura around the body, the blue spectral cloud forms a protective barrier from visible electromagnetic waves against jinns, envy, magic and evil eye. Jinns and magic are unable to penetrate this barrier generated by the energy that's emitted from the dates, although they're able to penetrate all other spectra. The positive electron elements also eliminates the negative charges of the jinns. Today's modern medicine proves that eating 7 ajwa dates helps to form this effective barrier and kill all worms types in the stomach. So very, very good for you. Also, did you know that eating magnesium is very good as well? Magnesium deficiency is a possible cause of depression and related mental health problems. And did you know that dates are also high in magnesium as well? So anybody suffering from mental health as a consequence of jinn possession or black magic, then dates are overall very good for you, not just for the phosphorus content, which is high in ajwa dates, but also the magnesium content. Again, magnesium is positively charged. That is actually in the US National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health. Everything I'm telling you about, I have got evidence that I can show you on what I'm saying. The other one is Zamzam water. The Messenger of Allah said that the best water on the surface of the earth is that of Zamzam. In it there is a food for the hungry and a cure for the ill. Does anybody know what is really, really high in Zamzam water and is positively charged, which helps to counteract negativeness? Does anybody know the element?
The crystals, isn't it?
It is the crystals of fluoride, very, very high in fluoride, and because of that, no bacteria grows in it. You can have it for years, and it will never ever go green or fall off. And I have got a video here to explain how Zamzam works and how concentrated it is.
Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto discovers the secrets of Zamzam water. Science has now revealed new secrets about Zamzam water. A Muslim introduced Dr. Emoto to Zamzam water so he could experiment on it. Emoto took a sample of Zamzam water and said, "I couldn't crystallize it, even by diluting the Zamzam water with distilled water." He finally managed to crystallize the Zamzam water after diluting it by 1,000. One drop of Zamzam mixed with 1,000 drops of distilled water. And he got a uniquely shaped crystal. Two crystals were formed, one on top of the other. Mr. Emoto's colleagues said that the two crystals could be due to the fact that Zamzam water is composed of two words, Zam and Zem. Allah knows best. The following was written by Dr. Masaru Emoto. The quality and purity of Zamzam water will not be found anywhere else on this earth. He did a lot of research on Zamzam water and found that if one drop of Zamzam water is mixed in 1,000 drops of regular water will increase in quality similar to Zamzam water. The minerals in one drop of Zamzam water were far superior to any other water he had tested. He also found that the quality of Zamzam water could not be changed. Even after he recycled the Zamzam water, there was no change, it was still pure.
Zamzam is something that nobody actually thinks about, but that helps. And cupping is another one. Now this is also revived Sunnah. A lot of people are using cupping nowadays. It's a practice of the Prophet and a miraculous way of treatment. Apparently it concentrates all the black stuff and all the toxins and things in one area and then extracts it out. And because of that, it does actually help if you have been afflicted by jinns and things like that. So Prophet Muhammad said the best thing with which you can treat sickness is actually cupping, and it is a remedy for evil. Okay? Does anybody know the other one? Fasting. Okay, now fasting is absolutely amazing. Did you know that the latest research has shown that when you fast, it actually releases happy hormones in your brain, and the neurotransmitter factor increases and things like that. Fasting is actually very good for you, and it keeps you away from bad as well. The best season to a believer is the winter. Its nights are long for those who wish to pray, and its days are short for those who wish to fast. So fasting, we know Prophet Muhammad used to fast twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, and the 3 white days. We have already explained all of the business about the 3 full moon days, when Shaitan is more likely to attack us on those 3 full moon days. He used to always fast on those days to protect himself as well. So look at how much there is in our religion to actually protect us from evil. It's amazing, isn't it? And did you know what I've told you is a snapshot? This book here has got even more. This is a really good book. The Jinn and Human Sickness, Remedies in the Light of the Quran and Sunnah. And that is by Dr. Abdul Mundir Khalil Ibn Ibrahim. So that has even more remedies in there. So what I have covered is just a very, very quick snapshot. Right, let's finish now with questions. I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions for this topic. There always is. Yes.
I have a question about the evil eye, the
Yes.
letters that you were talking about. You gave us like the kind of like the remedies. What about are we encouraged as Muslims to kind of prevent it from happening in the first place by kind of not showing happiness or showing off how something, a blessing that's come to us, not showing it to someone who we think might put the evil eye on us? Kind of like, are we encouraged to not be very exuberant or show good things?
Yeah. Yes, I'm afraid so. I think that we should be careful. Social media is out there nowadays, and we tend to put too much on social media. Any good thing, and it goes on social media, and everybody's looking at that, and we don't know what kinds of people those are that are looking at it. So yes, I would be careful. I would tell people who I think would be happy for me, but when you tell them, always say mashallah or alhamdulillah or subhanallah, because that protects you just by saying those words.
But then also you could put nazar on yourself again, isn't it, by being happy about that thing, unless you keep on saying alhamdulillah and
Yes.
Allah Ta'ala has given that to me.
Yes.
But
Always
try not to
thank Allah for giving those things to you, and also always say Allah's name even while you're thinking it as well. That all helps with evil eye. Yes.
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 You know, you said that something like to remove evil eye, you should approach the person who's put the evil eye.
That's
on
impossible nowadays, to be honest.
Well, that's one of the questions I was going to ask. That how do you approach a person who you think might have put the evil eye on you and tell them to do wudu and get their water to
To be honest with you, that person would have to be a strictly practicing Muslim who knows about this for you to approach them.
That's what I'm
But if
thinking.
it
because
is not anybody who knows about that hadith, they will mind. So you have to be very, very careful. But if that person knows about that hadith and knows that that's written in the books, then you can ask them and see what they say.
that's what I'm thinking. That would be very difficult. They'll just be flabbergasted if
Yes,
you go up to them
but
and
like
say,
I
"Oh,
said,
I've got a wudu
only
water."
if they're religious and they know about that hadith and they know that that helps, only then. And that is a very difficult one. Don't forget, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a different story to us. So he was a prophet, and he said you put it on him, and then they did exactly as they were told to do. But for someone ordinary like
do you
us
think
to
he
do
would have
that,
told him? I got the impression, maybe it's just the way, because you worded it, that he would have just instructed him to do it.
and he did.
Once it, and
Yes,
he did,
that's
and
right.
then he would probably have explained it after. Just
No,
from,
he did explain
he
it
did
as well.
before he.
Yes,
yeah.
he did. And he knew who did it as well from Allah. And he said that he knew because there were lots of Sahabas. So he knew exactly which Sahaba it was, and he told him to do that. But he explained it because Aisha explained it. That's how we know that he did explain it. That previous hadith was Aisha radhiyallahu anha explaining, wasn't it? Yeah? So we know he did explain it.
But that
In fact,
won't-
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained everything.
But
by
that
the way.
won't work practically now because that person might say, no, I didn't do that.
I know, but like I explained very clearly, if you think you know who did it, it's got to be someone who actually understands that hadith, and they will follow it, somebody who is practicing and knows about that.
Otherwise, if you can't approach that person, then what do you do?
Then you do all the things I told you, all those things. How many
You
more?
do on yourself.
Do ruqya on yourself. 3 Qul, Surah Baqarah, Ayatul Kursi, 7 dates, Zamzam water, cupping. Okay? Yes, let's have somebody from the other side.
Yes, it's just with this evil eye thing. If just two things. If you don't know who has done it, the evil eye, and inflicted on somebody, if you don't know, so how can you get this person to do the wudu and get the water?
We
to-
just answered that
Yes, I
question.
know. Yeah, I was just
Yes.
preparing the
Yes.
question in my mind.
Yeah.
So you just do all this, like Ayatul Kursi and all this stuff.
Yeah, you just do all the things that I
Right.
mentioned,
Right.
all those things.
For example, if someone comes into your house and said, I like your picture,
Yeah.
you say, mashallah,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah.
Yes.
But some people will actually give you that picture
Yeah.
because you've already favored it.
You liked it, yeah.
You liked
Yeah.
it, and rather than they get the evil eye, they will say, take it.
Yeah.
That's what Arabs do. If
Right.
you
Stick to
like
you.
things in there,
Right.
then you say you like some. Say, I like your hijab, or
You know that
like
happens
your...
to me, so I don't even say it now.
They give it to
Mashallah,
you.
the sisters, they're just like, oh, you like that dress? Then they go and get it and they give it to you.
Yeah.
Or they say, here you go, here, take it, you can
Yeah.
have it.
But you have to say mashallah, mashallah wa la quwwata illa billah.
Yeah, you must always say mashallah.
And then as parents, evil eye can inflict their own children.
It can do, yes. Like I explained, the Korean is inside you,
Yeah.
and it can.
Copy.
But again, like I said, you yourself say mashallah, subhanallah, alhamdulillah. And the children from a young age should learn all those things like ayatul kursi and the rules, how to protect themselves. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, David?
That hadith about making your houses a graveyard or something along the lines of that.
Yes.
Was that referring basically keep it tidy? Is that what that
No,
hadith was?
no.
Was that?
What that means is keep reciting the word of Allah in your houses so they don't become like graveyards. And I spoke about it earlier that a lot of jinns are in graveyards. Yeah, a lot of jinns are in graveyards. So if you don't recite Allah's name in your house, either by praying or dua and other things, then your house will become like a graveyard, as in the jinns will come in it. So it's to stop jinns, too many coming in your house. We know some live in the toilets. That you do.
Basically, you just read your salah and dua and everything.
Yeah, any name of Allah in any way.
But I play CDs quite a lot. Play CDs all the time.
There's another thing, you know, somebody said CDs, you know, this live is somebody is doing Bakara, Surah Bakara, and on CD,
It's different. It is different.
Yeah.
I did mention this in the Black Magic lecture that I did.
Yeah.
More better to recite it with a human voice. The sound waves that come out are much more stronger than what they would from a CD player. A live voice, and also you yourself are saying it, so you're protecting yourself. And while you're saying it, your water molecules in your body are all becoming whole, and if you look at all the chemical reactions, it's not the same coming from a CD. So I would recommend you can learn I mean, most of the children nowadays, they know the two goals at least, don't they? And they know, you know, they do know Ayatul Kursi of Bahat and things like that. But Salah, again, doesn't have to be just those surahs. Even reading Salah is remembering God, isn't it? You know, or any words, even entering the house, even while you're eating, and that kind of stuff.
Just basic thing that every Muslim household
Dhikr, isn't
children
it?
should be practicing from the very young age.
From a young age, yes.
And that will protect probably, I mean, from the very beginning of the children.
Yes, better to get children into a habit beforehand, because once they're teenagers, it's much more difficult, isn't it?
Some children don't even say Bismillah. I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah, people can forget, but they can say Bismillah, ya wali wa
I mean, as a teacher, as most of you know, I'm a qualified teacher as well, up to the age of 9, they're very good at learning languages. If you want to teach a child a language, do it before 9. That is a well-known fact, which is why the government introduced languages at an early stage. After 9, it is more difficult to then learn a new language, which is why adults, they find it really hard learning Arabic as an adult. So, better to start young. Prophet Muhammad said to start languages in Arabic and Quran and all the rest up to 7. His milestone was actually 7. So if we follow that, we should.
There are quite a few children I heard from all over the world. They became Hafiz at the age of 7-year-old.
Yes.
They completed the complete.
Yes, that's quite amazing.
It's the best time probably to memorize.
Yes, it is. It is. Early years is best. I've done a couple of programs on Islam channel. Recently, I did a program on child development on the Islam channel, and I spoke about the milestones according to Islam. And we spoke about all the Islam should be there up to 7. And did you know that that's when they then start school with everything else? If you look at the Scandinavian countries, you look at South Africa, the children start school at 7. And all the other Islamic stuff, they should really learn all before that. Okay?
By the way, your lecture, you know, on Islam channel,
yes,
that anxiety on according to science and everything, it was brilliant.
Was it? That's good.
Which one?
No, I texted you because it is so much informative, and
Yes.
helpful. It's really, really good.
Yeah. What was that? The health benefits?
Health benefits, yeah.
No, I
No,
know.
no.
That was the one on mental health. That
Mental
one.
health, yeah.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, I had a lot of feedback from that actually.
Yes, really beautiful.
Alhamdulillah, I better say that before
I
I
bet
get
it
it
would
when I
check it, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. Right, one last question, then we've got to finish because it's Maghrib time.
Yeah, so it's just about ruqya really.
Yes.
Because I'm the type of person that would Google a dua when I would need it.
Yes.
Would you advise being careful with ruqya on YouTube or certain duas on websites and stuff? Can they be distorted and things? Like, 'cause I'm always a bit careful what I
Yes.
listen to.
Live ruqya is best, like the brother was explaining that what's the difference between saying it yourself and
Can they be
saying it.
bad ruqya? You know, like.
Yes. You have to be careful with internet. So personally, I would get an imam. I have got links of imams who are also qualified within mental health. I know 2 places that I can give you the links for who are proper qualified people who will do the ruqya properly and they're not spoofs, basically, because there's a lot of spoofs out there. With the internet, I'd be careful. There are so many sites on the internet, as everybody knows, where things are distorted. You
Are
know.
the prayers in that book?
Yeah, that
Take
book
a
is.
picture of that book, and you can buy it. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the book again.
You know,
if you want to get in touch with me, then I can guide you the right way.
I know it's
I'll
not
give that to you.
funny, but
Right.
you have Islamic studies curriculum books from like trusted publications.
If in doubt, you can contact me and I can guide you in the right direction. Okay? Just contact me and I can guide you in the right direction. Most of you have got my numbers here, haven't you? Okay? Right, I think we should stop now because I have to tidy up. And then we've got Maghrib Salah, and then after that I've got to get to an event as well. So we're going to have to stop. And next lecture will be in 3 weeks' time. We already covered Moses the first half up to the Ashura, the splitting of the sea. And the next half onwards up to his death I will cover in 3 weeks' time. Okay?
Thank you, Islam.